Yeah. Which you. Right, so notice is hereby given at the ordinary meeting of the West Coast Council. Notice is hereby given that the ordinary meeting of the West Coast Council will be held at the West Coast Council Chambers, Livingston Street, Queenstown, on Tuesday the 27th of May 2025, 5 p.m. Recording of the meeting in accordance with the local government meeting procedures and regulations of 2015. The public is advised that the proceedings of the meetings of the council will be recorded on digital media to assist in the preparation of minutes and to ensure a true and accurate account of debate and discussions of the meeting is available. Acknowledgement of country. The West Coast Council acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land which we gather today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 126.25 is a record of attendance, apologies and leave of absence. Approved leave from Mayor Shane Pitt. Item 127.25 is financial interests and declarations. Does the council have any financial interest in any item in the agenda which they wish to declare? Item 128.25 is a confirmation of the minutes from the ordinary meeting. And the recommendation is that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the West Coast Council held at the West Coast Council Chambers, 11 Stitch Street, Queenstown, on Tuesday, the 15th of April 2025, a copy of which is having previously been circulated to councillors prior to this meeting, if confirmed as a true and accurate record. By Councillor Newman, seconded by Councillor Jordan. Discussion. All those in favour? Carried. Item 129.25 is public participation and question time, where a member of the public may give written notice to the General Manager 7 days before an ordinary meeting of the Council. The question to be asked at that meeting. The Chairperson must ensure that if required, at least 15 minutes of the meeting is available for questions to be asked by members of the public. Questions and answers may not be debated. The regulations also provide that councillors determine the other procedures to be followed during the respective question times from the regulation. There's no one in the gallery. Do you have any questions? No? There's no questions from the public. Item 130.25 is council raised issues and information. So where the councillors questions without notice, motions without notice must be presented in writing at the meeting. Questions without notice will be taken on notice unless extenuating circumstances apply. And questions without notice are to be kept as short as possible. There's no lengthy preamble, and there will be no debate or argument in relation to the matter at the time. So any questions on notice at the meeting? Questions without notice?
Yes, sorry, this was supposed to say question, not motion. Firstly, before I get to the question, I'd like to congratulate young guns Caleb Mansfield and Jaden Bryce on 150 games on the weekend for Queenstown Crows. I'd also like to put a shout out to the Rosary Toorak Football Club who are doing it pretty tough. But as good West Coasters are gutsy and resilient, and I hope they get a win soon. So my question is that can Council urgently convene a workshop to review and discuss the Strahan Waterfront Precinct Plan in detail, including but not limited to updated and detailed design plans, direction regarding the Strahan Visitor Centre, changes to key precinct structures and features, and clarification of recent decisions and community feedback. My rationale there is, as an elected councillor, I do not feel adequately informed on key aspects of the Strahan Waterfront Precinct Plan to support confident and transparent decision making. For Example, it was previously communicated in a council workshop that the CWA rotunda was to remain in the plan. However, recent social media posts suggest the structure has been removed, and I can also confirm the structure has been removed, and this discrepancy raises concerns about the accuracy and timeliness of the information provided to councillors. This workshop is essential to ensure that councillors have access to the most up-to-date and comprehensive information to make informed decisions that reflect community expectations and strategic direction of councils.
Three Deputy Mayor. Following on from the conversation where I previously advised that the rotunda was desired to be retained, as Matthew explained, the officer communicated that conversation hadn't been had with stakeholders. That has since been revisited. Council had previously received some advice in relation to the costings to actually retain the rotunda in its present location or former location. That costing was actually excessive and beyond the scope of the project budget. So with the consent of the stakeholder, the conversation was further advanced in accordance with what I understand Council's original intent was, that article wasn't to remain as part of the project. So I'm certainly happy to have a conversation because I have some other elements that are in that mix. The lapse to right of application and a few other complications in relation to wharf condition assessments and everything I'd like to put on the table. So certainly happy to support the conversation in the workshop. More than happy to shuffle the schedule that we've got at the moment to actually put that on the agenda in a time fashion for council.
Please. And yeah, just to note the communication would have been welcomed.
Yep. Understand.
No motions on the notice? And are there any motions without notice? Item 131.25, which is a noting that council resolved that the mayor and councillor diaries and communications as presented be noted. Any questions or comments regarding?
Yeah, could I just have my itinerary changed? I forgot about any that day.
Nothing else from me? It's just a noting, so we just need to. Item 132.25 is council workshop, and this is a noting decision. The council resolved to note the following workshops conducted by council since the last ordinary meeting, and they were workshops on the 13th of May 2025, budget overview, rates, dog registrations, and Cradle Trust Authority 2025-26 draft annual plan and project updates. And today being the 27th of May, the Unconformity Digitisation Project update, Cradle Trust Authority update, and then fees and charges. Any other discussion on that? So item 133.25 is council decision status report, action items, and with noting, again, a noting decision that council resolved that the status action report item of the open council meeting decisions be received. Any discussion from that? Councillor McCabe?
Thanks, Deputy Mayor. I'd just like to comment on the layout. It's very clear, concise, and very easy to read, and especially like the department, popping it into departments, that's made it much more manageable and easy to decipher. I would, however, like to ask a question on the Fosse toilets. It was a raised matter, and the outcome is pending as it needs to secure funding. Is this correct? I believe that funding was secured.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, my understanding is some of the funding has been secured, but the concern that I have with that particular project is that I don't think there's enough collaboration between the different local government authorities to actually get that off the ground. So I'll certainly go back and revisit it.
It's very important for West Coasters that FOSSI stop.
Through the project engineers have used 3 discussions about the fossil in the past. It staggered when we said to them that one toilet was insufficient, and they went back and did give us a design report. I'm sure they came back and presented that. So yeah, I think I'm not sure that funding is really matter either. I think it's just the engineers have got other priorities than them, so that's probably what we're talking about.
That's part of the truck stop.
Yeah, the whole caravan stop, truck stop, the whole thing.
And, yes, I was just going to say, through you and further to Councillor Graham, I believe it's fully funded through the federal government's, heavy vehicle.
Rest area.
Rest area.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of bringing the relevant local government authorities together to make sure that they didn't shut down those toilets and try to push people off into workshop.
And there was some, sorry, Councillor, there was more liaison with us. Would we open the toilets during the time of that construction? Pretty rough one.
Something after our coast should wait this afternoon, we probably should put on their radar. Some of the local areas, Waratah, something we possibly should have done this afternoon.
Yeah, we put on discussion with them, add it to the radar. But now, keep it on.
Coastal pathway down through there as well.
Any other? Okay. Voting, item 134.25 is committees of council. And this is a voting report that council resolved that the council committee reports as presented be noted. And there's a report in there from the emergency management committee.
Just got 2 questions on the minutes of the emergency management meeting, Deputy Butterfield. In the attendance is Alison Cable, but it doesn't state where Alison Cable is from. It's just open brackets.
It's from fire from member.
If that could be clarified.
Yes.
Employees, it's just nice, it's very fundamental. Also, who are the EMC and the deputy now that Aaron isn't the municipality emergency management coordinator? What?
Previously met, I'm acting in Aaron's role, supported by Bill at this point in time until we reappoint a new team.
Beautiful, thank you. And just to note also, it's got in your terms of reference the Western Wilderness Tourism Association, which is Destination West Coast.
Yes, I had something I wanted to mention, I've mentioned it before. I would really like to see the Department for Education, Children and Young People invited at minimum as an observer. They have a lot of expertise around critical incident, including bushfire management. We should overlook them and understand how their processes work and how they get the word out to the communities that they serve. That school, for example, is or isn't open on those days.
Right, so the recommendation is that council note the minutes of the emergency management committee meeting dated the 9th of March 2025, and that council adopt terms of reference for the emergency management committee. Move on to second that.
Well, the amendment that Councillor Olympic has proposed.
Would you mind, just repeating the?
Yeah, we'll just give it, and then we'll repeat it to make sure that's
That the Department of,
For the Department for Education, Children and Young People being invited at minimum as an observer of this committee, given their expertise.
and that's to be added to the terms of reference for the.
In relation to the school, as you mentioned.
Absolutely. And the facility.
expert. It's pretty efficient.
Yeah, sure.
Really second that. Discussion? Also, all those in favour?
Aye.
Item 135, which is the general manager's report. Noting decision, the general manager's report to be presented as noted. Ask for the move and a second. Move. Councillor Brown. Councillor Jordan. Any discussion on the general manager's report?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
No, councillor, you go.
Look, through you, Chair, Deputy Mayor, to Scott G. Look, I've got a couple of issues here with the Zen Gym and Multi-Purpose Centre. What's it going to take for the civil works, the gym equipment, and the cost to finish the project on the Zen Gym and Multi-Purpose Centre and the Strawn one? It just seems that the federal government grant is $2 million for both. And it appears we've already spent the majority of that. Are we going to get more grants, or how are we going to finish that? Where's that money going to come from? But before you answer that, there is two more which are up here at the project job numbers. It actually identifies what's grant and what's not. And again, I've got to go back to the Zen pool repairs. I just need to identify what LRCI is on page 81. And I also need to identify the Howard Park redevelopment. It says we've got a federal government grant of 600,000, but that's October 22. Have we actually got that grant, or it's not the same?
You're right.
There's a lot. There's two more.
Just to answer a few of those earlier ones, the dynamic that got around a number of those projects as was presented earlier, and in the project updates that are down in the report, just give me a second to scroll to those. The dynamics around a number of those projects is that they're going to land very close to budget. Some of those projects we're actually making a contribution to as well as part of those processes. It's not totally grant funded in a number of circumstances. But to answer the question specifically in relation to that, I might prefer to Bill, given that a number of those I actually wasn't here for when the original grants were applied. So,
Look, if I ask questions, do you think that I could ask for responses?
yeah, that's right.
Perhaps
Yeah.
at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Would that be more appropriate for you, Deputy Mayor?
Yeah. Just through you, Deputy Mayor, that the circumstances there on page 56, where we've got total budget, total expenditure to date, and there's expenditure from the first supply to January 25. Those figures, to a certain extent, are still evolving, right? So it's scheduled to be, particularly the gym redevelopment is Strawn Z and carry forward. That's scheduled to be completed by the end of this month, give or take a week or two. The one below that in relation to the recycling organisation, that's due to be completed by the end of this calendar year. That one's been extended. Tenders have basically been reviewed for that. So there's a number of those, but those specific questions you've got, I'm more than happy to answer them, because as an example, the gym redevelopment Strawn on, they're actually rolled together, whereas in our project listings, they're actually separate line items.
I'll continue on with the Z and pool piece again. I just need to know what LRCI
Yep.
dash 304282 means.
That's essentially the grant funding pool. Right? From the federal government.
And then Howard Park redevelopment on the project job number. I did ask this question a couple of meetings ago, but again, it's down here in the budget grant information. It's saying we've got a federal government grant of 600, but the project job number doesn't reflect that. So we'll be asking or negotiating or
The dynamics are there's a number of costing centres that are linked to them. Several of those projects we're actually making a part contribution to as well.
and there was just again, the Headley Hall Park redevelopment. It says we've got a government grant of the same amount, but it doesn't reflect in the project job number. The grant's not certified, so where's the grant? Where are we looking to get the grant from?
The one there, just find the sheet we're talking about.
Page 58.
Okay.
So Headley Hall Park redevelopment.
The total budget's 960, and you've got federal government grant of 600, West Coast Council Inc. of 360. And we've currently spent 697. So we're under budget on that, and we're due for completion around the middle of June, give or take. on this grant.
So why does the project job number not reflect that we've got a grant with it? Is that just a typo or?
No. A number of those line items are rolled together as I spoke of before. But where you look in the financial grants, it's clearly laid out there. Yep.
And there's just the Queenstown Goldbrick Wall.
Yep.
It says we've got a grant. What does TCF on page 71 mean?
That's
For
the,
the, what is it? TELUS. And it says here it's to be awarded, so we don't have that grant yet, or we do, or
three that in there. We have the grant, but the project works are yet to be awarded.
that's all. Thank you. Jim, Manager Scott Riley.
That is something what the roof didn't go on.
That's correct.
Yeah, you're right. Which is
Being polite, would you like to transition to?
Sorry, Councillor.
sorry.
Would you like to ask a question?
No.
Okay. We have three deputy here. Just got a question on the financial report on page 38. Again, I welcome all the notes, but note 3 is missing. We have our wonderful ABCDE, with great explanations there. But then our expenditure, we have notes 1, 2, and 3.
38.
38.
Note 3 on other expenses, but there's no note footnote.
If you don't mind, I like to know those notes because they're spot on for the financial. The other one, I'd just like to ask with the Boulder Wall, how that that is progressing. I know it's been a difficult situation, but are we progressing with the work on that project?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, my understanding is we are progressing with the project, but it's subject to the insurance claim on the roof. That's the hold up in getting contractors engaged to actually replace the roof and do the storm damage repairs before we introduce that new element, which would be at risk for that an early work.
And no movement as yet?
Matt advised the other day that the dynamic was that they were engaging with contractors, but I haven't heard in the last few days.
And just the last one, Deputy Mayor, in growth and change, page 93, the line up the West event, that growth and change has talked of there, is going to be a great couple of weekends in the West Coast. There is the Strong Solstice on the 19th to the 22nd, the next weekend the 27th to the 29th, Colours of Queenstown. There's 2 light shows that are going to each event, and then I'd encourage community to book for those light shows. And it's going to be limited numbers, but great events.
Any further? Councillor Whitney?
Yes, mostly a comment coming from community, who are very anxious to get the Queenstown Museum, access to the Queenstown Museum playgrounds. So I really appreciate, kind of a tight, rein on any, sorry, I can't think of the word, on any extensions that might be needed to it. Because as I understand it, they can't open until that playground inspection has been done, is that correct? So we've got the school holidays coming up in particular. Yeah, it's very difficult for the young families not having anywhere to play in those 2 towns.
Maybe we could put on a bus to go to the Zillion Park.
May I update on that? Like, we have visited the Zane Park, and it is at the moment, construction wise, except the basketball line marking, everything is done. And last week there was a visit from the architect to give a response on their completions, that it is been formally complied with their design and all. They have given us green signals, so at the moment, maybe we can work with our internal team to understand that how we will go forward to open it. Because only the small works balance to redesign the entrance gate, because there was some old pictures or tiles was there, and the community wants to keep it as it is, and we need to do some sort of beautification works around that. That is a small things balance, but that will not at the moment stopping anyone to enter. But we need to sit together to understand how we will go for the opening. Yeah, major work is almost done. Even the last week, the basketball board also they have done. We have good weather for the competition of the market.
I must admit, I was below the moon, but now I saw this, the rest of the time. Was it? Did we fall too? Yeah.
Any other discussion? You have a second one? All those in favour? Against? Item 136/25 is correspondence, and it's a noted decision that council resolves that the correspondence, both incoming and outgoing, as presented, be noted. And there's only correspondence there for noting. Any discussions about the correspondence? Item 137/25, the report is the rate commission policy, and my computer catches up. The recommendation is that council adopt the rates and emissions policy. Mover. Moved by Councillor Stringer. Seconded by Councillor Whittaker. Any discussion on that report?
Yeah,
I think one of the things we asked was, that any changes just be highlighted for us, so, I don't think there is any changes.
we just admit, I don't think it's too many.
In the rates remission policy, yes, there was significant changes, but I don't remember the request to actually highlight what they were.
I think it might be before you look on there. So we're getting smashed with policies, and some of them only have 2 words changed, you know what I mean? And at that time, we just asked it, just give us a bit of a highlight of where the changes are, so that someone can read the whole of the policy, so it can just relate to the changes.
Any further? So move in second, all those in favour? Yes, sorry, Councillor.
Sorry. I'd like to thank Bill for the power of work that he's done, behind the scenes, bringing this to the table. I'd like that to be noted, please.
All those in favour? All against? Item 138/25 is a report, and it's the dog policy review. And the recommendation is that, the council approve and adopt the revised policy WCC .014 dog management policy. Have a mover. Councillor Mickey, and second, Councillor Graham. And open for discussion.
I will say, the only that didn't make sense, as I was just saying to Bill earlier, is that we've got excuse me, we've got an area 500 yards from the lookout at Ocean Beach, which is dog prohibited. And then outside of the 500 is dogs off the leash. So how does one get their dog from the lookout through the prohibited area to off the leash? So, but as Bill said, we may run into some issues because it's got to go to public consultation with all those changes. Can I propose on the next review that we go through that public consultation, please? Because I think that needs to be done. And can I ask the council's rangers go a little bit easier on people that are taking their dogs through that zone, through the off leash area, please?
Any further discussion, comments? So put to the floor, so all those in favour? Against? Report 139/25 is a report of dog registration, and I believe that there is a slight error. This one with the error. In the fees and charges that needed to be changed, which was for the
Through the mayor. The fees and charges that had to be changed was,
3-year sterilised dog, is it?
yes, 3 years sterilised dog. But where it currently says 155 and 90, the figures should be, under the incentive rate, should be 90, and for 3 years, 110.
So the recommendation is that council adopt the fees and charges in relation to the administration of the Dog Control Act 2000 and the dog management policy. Moved by Councillor Newman, seconded by Councillor Jordan. Open for discussion. Any discussion?
Just that, exactly as the report says, that if there's a social media campaign as well as a radio campaign to get that message out to the community, please.
Make sure you can campaign. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Report number 140/25 is a new build incentive rate remission report. And the recommendation is that council approve the rate remission in accordance with its rates and remission policy for the period of 3 years, commencing the 2025-26 rating year.
I'll move for discussion.
Councillor Brown, seconded by Councillor Hayman. Open for discussion.
Deputy Mayor, we just approved, rate of emission policy. Rates and emission policy, is this surplus to that policy?
Through you, again, this is an application by an individual versus the policy. Within this actual report, under their application, they applied actually on the previous policy, which said they were entitled to 3 years. If they hadn't applied with the new policy, they then were entitled to 2 years. So, but it met the criteria of the previous policy, which had sectors at the time when they actually applied.
Any other comments? All those in favour? Carried. Item 141, which is an annual report, Children and Youth Commission. The recommendation is that council receives a notice of commission report.
You're under that.
Annual report. Any discussion? What's intensive and,
Good call, councillor Ollie.
and I thought the postcard bit very back was worth a lot more than the whole report.
I guess given it was written by the commission,
Item 142, 25. Is a recommendation that council receives and makes the survey results and women's perspectives of women only
I think this was always coming. I think the female gym around the world, worldwide, but certainly in Australia, my sister manages 72. They're very popular and they have a place. They really do have a place. I think more women would use the gym if it was a female only gym. But it leaves us with quite a conundrum with our assets, doesn't it? We haven't considered forward thinking in all of our constructions that we've done more recently. So it does leave us with a conundrum, but I think the survey speaks for itself. There's a need. There is a need. And it's a very large need for Australia. So it's something I think we're going to have to consider going forward. We're going to look at how we can accommodate this. Or do we split the times perhaps? Can we allocate certain times in the gym? Well, that's going to be very difficult to do, isn't it, with our staff kids? So I don't know how we do it. I don't know how we accommodate this need, but I do believe the need is real. It should be.
Step one, councillor Brown, would be introducing female-owned programs into the gyms.
But if it's an open gym, you cannot stop them out. They're working out at the time, you know what I mean? And nor should you. Nor should you. But then you go and see if we're going to have a male in your gym too. What if a bloke doesn't want to work out in front of the girl? You know, I don't know. How far do you take this at the end of the day? But the female gym movement has real merit and it's been very successful in mobilising more women into the gym environment. And it's a great thing, but I don't think that's the capability at this point.
Well, I guess this report also gives us some information and some data, should there be opportunities for funding for such a gym, that we can have a lot of background work done, also for the future.
Sure.
If there's funding available.
Some observations around that. We have to remember that this was an initial survey. We haven't benchmarked it against anything that we're seeing in the industry. And as Councillor Bradley points out, our gyms aren't there. So staff are policing it. And we also want our whole community to embrace using gyms. So I would suggest a starting point, we don't have any figures on the breakdown of how many versus women using the gym here. I know when I go to the gym, there seems to be a lot happens with me that blokes that knock off work must get a do think there's something to be said for that kind of campaign about respect, but the equipment, respect the users and what to do. If you don't know who to reach out to, do you go to police, or is it reach out to the council chief manager?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, Councillor, is that something that you'd like to consider as we review their strategy around gyms?
Yes, I think gyms and our wellbeing resources in general. We haven't done a review of our recreational resources. I think it's kind of part of that figure. We're obviously spending money on gyms and pools.
There's the high school.
Just we're so limited in funding, we don't want to be throwing money at the wrong thing, but we also need to be able to make a business case of what we ask. I think with our health and wellbeing strategy being adopted, we can absolutely draw really clear lines of what we are trying to achieve.
Any further discussion on the report? Move on. Item 14325 is a report of food premises. And the recommendation is that the council adopt the fees and charges in relation to the administration of the food premises registration. Open for discussion.
I think it's great to encourage street dining. Get our main areas vibrant.
Well, I think people, 44 food businesses this year, 54 is something like these two food businesses. So part of the process of the EHA doing their bills to make sure that we have the numbers accurate and capture those.
Any other discussion on the report? All those in favour? Against? Carried. Report 14425 is the Tasmania place names, Howard Park and 24 Park. The recommendation is that council write to place names Tasmania confirming its support for 2 park names and advise of the correct spelling of both parks. Moved by Councillor Second by Councillor Kay. Open for discussion.
My discussion on that is, I actually don't know if this is one of those names, but that'd be great to know. Or ask the place register to adopt them. I'd be confident saying this was anyone wrong. This is a finished job. I don't know if anyone else here has any.
Well,
Share any light.
Well, I agree with you, Deputy Mayor, the Howard Park, for example, is related to a bloke called R.J. Howard. There was a mover and shaker in Z for countless numbers of years. Also served on the council of the whatever. Our history, there is history around about for him, for Park, I've got no idea, but Paddy Howard has done a hell of a lot of history around his farm, so there is a lot of documentation around there.
But maybe that's something we do for both parks, is have a small plaque that just says the park was named after,
Yeah.
and for the reasons why.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to just have to be a small plaque, to keep those reasons, or knowing the community why those places were named those places.
They might inquire as to how place names Tasmania came to know that they should
Through you, Deputy Mayor, respectfully to council, I am completely lost in the background of the two.
successful.
I know about Howard's Park, but I'm not sure about Henry Falls, so I think it's a good idea that we have a park. Just why those parks were dedicated to those people.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I hope we don't get anything from Heritage Tasmania as well.
Any other discussion? All those in favour?
No.
Against? One against. Carried. 145, 25 is a naming report, regional visitor economy and gathering. This is a naming report. This is the council note, the visitor economy update, the one for Tourism Tasmania Visitor Economy Regional Gathering, which is held in Strong on 14th of April 2025. Is there any discussion on that report?
Get ready to reinvest in your business for the spirits.
Item report 14625, which is a name report, which is for STEM, and the council note the UTAS research into family influences on STEM aspirations in regional mining communities, and that the data from the West Coast Focus Group held in April 2025. Any discussion on that report? We'll move on. Item 14725, which is a naming report, growth and change of quibbles. And that council notice, the recommendation is that council note this report and the attached quibbles from the Rosemary Neighbourhood House and Rosemary Development Association. Any discussion regarding those quibbles?
Once again, it's really good to see the quibbles coming in. And previous years where we thought about tracking it.
We really must have a connection with community if we're getting those acquittals back to the table.
It's good to see them come back and be quite regular. It's disappointing to see in one that a few people attend, but the weather wasn't really favourable on that day either, so. But it's good that our organisations in our community, such as Neighbourhood House and Rosemary Development Association, are putting on community events for residents in those areas. Or for residents across the West Coast. Item 14825 is reports, innovation and sponsorship, and there's a couple of reports in here. And the first one is that council approved $975 cash innovation sponsorship for the applicant for the Galley Museum. Okay, thank you. Moved by Councillor Hayman.
I'll second it for
Seconded by
discussion.
Councillor Newman for discussion. Open for discussion.
The initial report was around West Coast. Reading through it, I was quite fine with the West Coast part, and then we morphed into the Northwest Coast as part of the conversation. I'm not sure whether we potentially have more West Coast people possibly could have been inducted into whatever this program is. But I'd like to see if there's any other discussion around the fact that it went from the West Coast into the Northwest Coast.
Yeah, I think it should be supporting the West Coast, and some of the people I know, and sort of some of the traditional West Coasters I know, but there are some people from the Northwest, which is in our Galley Museum, so I'm not quite sure how they fit into that, or whether it was just because it was the original exhibition of photographs, and they were included in that original exhibition. Because some of the photographs are pretty old from when you see some of the West Coast residents in them.
Craig Garland too.
Yeah.
But you're going Northwest Coast.
Northwest Coast, there's no connection to the West Coast. I was just wondering whether we might take it back to the workshop and
Bit of clarity,
get some clarity on
the project.
the project itself.
Yeah,
Through that, we could certainly ask the Galley Museum to attend a workshop and unpack that for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Just for some clarity of what we're actually supporting.
Yeah.
I'm fully supportive of West Coasters, but I'm not sure of the whole project. Yeah. So could we change that recommendation that we invite the museum to a workshop, just to clarify?
Yep.
Guys happy with that? Yep. Can we just change that? So I think that the recommendation would be that we invite the Gallery Museum to a workshop for discussion about their project.
Yeah.
I'm just happy to move in second. Yep. All those in favour? Against? Okay. Other? Right, so the other report out of this one is that council determine an amount, if any, of cash innovation sponsorship for the applicant for the Rosebery beautification project, and that was people at Castro's asking for, through the Rosebery Neighbourhood Centre, applying for $700 for the innovation grant for the continuation of the Rosebery Main Street flower pots and beautification that they had there.
I'll move for discussion.
Second by Councillor Tony, open for discussion.
Yes, something that jumps out at me, and I know Councillor Graham is going to say the same thing, that a quibble has not been received for previous funding. And that's something that, we're trying to hold all organisations accountable to, and I realise this is an individual, but also a spine organisation. I don't know that we, not only did not get a quibble, I don't think we ever got any pictures of what's happened previously. It would be good to just have a few assurances, and to really adhere to the policies that we've created.
Yeah, I agree 100%. With any question, the funding application is pretty much all the information. The name of alternative funding, MNG, but there's no information about amounts or, it's pretty void of information, to be honest.
Yes, and another comment on Councillor Graham's comment. We've really seen these applications take a step up, and in terms of the info that they've been providing us, and it's been great to see that trajectory. And I think it might be good to have Ms. Castres work with Growth and Change on getting her application to a place where we can feel confident. So it's my 2 cents.
I wouldn't feel confident passing that on the information provided in that application.
The concept of what she's trying to do is right.
Correct.
I don't know, it was all great, but I don't think on the basis of this application, even though it's funny, they haven't spent $4.5 million so far, we still have the money. But I just don't think this is a quality application.
But we have to be sure we manage that money well for the community's benefit.
I have seen, and I agree that we need to treat everybody equally, and our policy requirements are the policy requirements. And I'd like to give the applicant the opportunity to reapply, because I have been in Rosebery multiple times, and those pots of colour do really stand out, and even though the street is full of people, it's somebody's here in places of life, so I'd like to be able to support the project. I also support that we need to have consistency in our applications and our
Again, for you, that maybe we just ask these people to come do exactly the same as what we're suggesting. Yeah.
So we need to change the recommendation. We change the recommendation to invite Ms. Castro and the
Mention
and the recommendation to a workshop to discuss their application.
And council be interested in sort of, thoughts around a master plan for this leading towards. Otherwise we end up in a space where we just bits here, bits there, bits there, bits there. Some sort of conversation around it, more than a strategy.
That might work. It's more because if there is a good pitch, you might be able to do it in one fund.
Yeah, the EGM is through that, there is a small park, there's the street escape and also the main centre which is working on their garden and working construction, so it's a very good plan.
All the strong.
No, that's not.
No,
Definitely support a lot of them, just make sure that our processes are watertight. Right, so change the recommendation to invite Ms. Castro and Rosie Maple to set up a workshop to discuss their application for funding. All those in favour? Against? Yes, so this is the decision for innovation sponsorship. The recommendation is that council aims to determine an amount of cash event sponsorship for the applicant.
no,
Council Newman, Council Brown, discussion.
We're looking for $1,000. I like, you just compare this application to the last one. This guy tells us exactly what he's doing, when he's doing it, and how he's doing it, and what he hopes to make. So I like that. I think, good, yeah. No trouble at all.
Tourism wise, that's exactly what we're trying to do with these MTB trails, is get some traction.
We're good.
Take the front as you will. And the ideal way is to bring races here that will be our word of mouth and our ideal advocates for that. And 90 races can only be good in, hopefully in the food and beverage and accommodation industries also.
And the application, if you say 90 races, is asking for the way $10 per person a year. It's not much of a hit that we.
He hasn't told rubbish in his application, he said, we'll go back to your local business.
We not have a policy of limited expense account. If we give out $1,000 a year or we have limits.
Depends under which part of the policy the application for funding is applied. There's different limits for different parts of funding.
Councillor, if you look on page 341, on the application itself, the program requested, they have to identify which program it's coming out of.
Oh, right,
So,
sorry.
and it says up to, that's the threshold. And if I could just add some comments around the impact on the economy, the return on investment on this particular program could actually be quite significant.
Any other discussion around it? Put to the vote. All those in favour?
Right.
Carried. Item 149.25 matters proposed for the meeting. And the recommendation is that item 151.25 to 158.25 be discussed by council in closed session. Councillor Newman. All those in favour? Item 150. Recommendations that council resolve by action of the majority to go into closed session to consider the following matters. Items 151 to 158. So,
Move and second.
Mover,